And we are live, coming live to you, straight from New Orleans. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, the fails of sales. We'll call this the fails and grails of sales. Sometimes the grails of sales are not exactly like a holy grail. Usually that grail has many holes in it. For example, let's say you're buying a vehicle, and you've talked to a salesman, shown some interest. You may have even put a deposit on the vehicle. How many times have you actually had that car salesman actually get on top of the sale? Also, for buying, let's say you're buying a property, and Kim, you've probably seen some of this in real estate, but if you put in an inquiry with an agent, do most of the agents you know actually try to sign that customer on ASAP to be their agent? Or do they just answer the questions and forget about the phone call until they ask?
Yeah, they grab on right away.
Do they? That's good. They should. That's what they're supposed to do. Or insurance salesmen. Now, some of these will call you up. Matter of fact, the last time I changed companies for car insurance, I looked online to get a couple of quotes and ended up getting a ton of emails from people and only one phone call. The company that called me, which was State Farm, got my business. They didn't get the business because they called me. They got the business because they had the best rate for the best coverage. But it just so happened that he was the only one to call me. Like I was talking about before we went live also, if you go to a store to buy a cell phone, a lot of times the salesperson has no idea about the piece of equipment that you're looking at. This happens also if you're buying an appliance or some piece of technology equipment. Office Depot. A lot of times if you go in, and these aren't, I wouldn't necessarily call them real salespeople, but a lot of companies do not train about their products. And I want us to be able to look at some of that and see where some other salespeople are failing in what they're doing and what we can do to learn from that. Okay? For example, the last time I bought a car, I bought it from some other place other than my local area, and the car salesman didn't know how to sell me a car over the phone. He didn't know how to get me paperwork. He didn't know how to do anything. I had to call his sales manager and beg him to take my cashier's check so he could ship my damn vehicle. That is awful. And we experience this all the time when we're purchasing something from wherever. It's something that we see in everyday life, and we can learn from it. We can learn, are we doing any of these things? Probably not. I mean, if you work for us, this is a definitely money-motivated position because it's straight commission. So we're going to have a different caliber of sales professionals here than you may find at other places, but this is what's out there. This is the way our world operates, and it just seems that a lot of people out there are not focused on whatever their business is. Now, sometimes we go someplace and we run into a salesperson that's very knowledgeable. They ask the right questions, and they're very focused on making the sale. Now, there are a lot of people that don't like when that happens. However, on the other hand, there are some people that like that, like myself. When I deal with a salesperson, for me to purchase something, I want to be sold. I want that salesperson to sell me. I want them to be knowledgeable about their product, because I can not only take from that and learn something from it, but I can also determine whether or not I'm making the right decision to buy this product, and not based on what information the salesperson gives me, and of course compared to my own research. I'm not always just going to take their word for something, but it's a good point to realize when you're dealing with a company in any sense of a sale taking place. Kim, the last time you had to purchase something from any company and anything that was, a substantial or semi-substantial purchase, what was your experience like?
That was actually a car, and in that case, the salesperson was actually very rushed, and so they wanted to get it done, and a part of that was was my strategy. I was in a different city intentionally trying to find a car. I was in a larger city where there'd be more options, and I had already looked at that one earlier in the day and then came back right at the end of the day. And so the salesperson knew that we really wanted it, and it was just a matter of getting the price taken care of. And so really, he was very just kind of to the point, which was fine. But we were right at the end of the day. It was like 7 o'clock. They wanted to go home, home, home. And so his sales ability was more about trying to make sure that, a price came up that was acceptable for us. And he did make that happen, so that was good. There was a lot of pressure on him because we were going to leave and had, a 3-hour drive back home, and, we weren't going to be back the next day. That was really clear. So it was a sort of a different experience, but it ended up working out just right because we were in the right position at the right time. They were motivated and wanted to sell a car and had too many of them on the lot. So it worked out well.
Good deal. When the salesman rushed you, What did that feel like as a person buying something?
Oh, it's obnoxious, actually. It's just terrible. I think. And so I think that there's a way that you can encourage a person to make a decision without making them feel rushed. And so I find being rushed annoying, and I just think it takes that a really good salesperson has some finesse in how they do it, so that they're encouraging a person to go towards a certain goal, but they're not like snapping at their heels to make it happen. At least that's my perspective.
And in what we do, sometimes we have to put pressure on a client to place business. What do you do to avoid the pitfalls of being obnoxious?
I try to draw people towards me rather than push from behind. That may sound kind of esoteric or something, but I think that there are ways that you can encourage people to make a decision on their own and not realize how much you're actually encouraging that decision. And I wish I could quantify it better than that, but that's just something I've learned over years and years in sales, that there's just a way to do that isn't as obvious. I mean, and yet the whole situation is always obvious. Everybody knows that I'm a salesperson. Everyone knows that they're the person who, I want something from. But it's making sure that they feel like they're getting everything that they need answered, so that they want then to give you the business. And yeah, and I think it takes a lot of practice, and it certainly takes a lot of learning to figure out how to do it in a different type of business like this. So it's been fun, actually.
Absolutely. And I know it's not always easy to put pressure on a client or a prospective client to place the business now. Well, it's not easy for me to do it without being obnoxious, because I have a hard time with the in between. I can either be nice or I can have a big hammer and swing.
I've noticed, though, that what you do, you don't, yeah, I mean, there's no way you force anybody to do anything. You just make it, you kind of like lay out the logic of the situation and make it really clear. Well, obviously, you want to do the most logical thing. At least when we've been together on calls, that seemed to be your strategy, and it's very effective. I mean, to me, that's what I'm talking about too. It's, even though you do it more strongly, you're still doing the same thing. You're showing them what is the most logical decision and why they actually have already expressed that that's what they want to have happen. So why aren't you going to do it? So yeah, you're just more forthright about it.
And aggression is something that I've been working on for a long time. It's a work in progress, because I can get really, really aggressive, and I think that comes from, well, not just personality, but from being a collector for many years also. I'm just aggressive, but I guess that's not necessarily a bad thing. From what you just told me, it may not be as bad as what I make it out to be, because I'm my own worst critic.
I think that's definitely the case, because your methodology is not actually to, like, break the lock with the hammer. It's just making it very clear what, as I said, like what the logical path is based on what the client has already expressed their need to be. So yeah, it works really well.
Well, thank you very much. Frank, talk to me about experiences with other salespeople, whatever industry.
Yeah.
Tell me about somebody, good or bad.
Well, car salesmen hate me. I usually get right to the car sales manager very quickly because I've done my research before I go in there. I've sold cars. I've been in sales my whole entire adult life. So, if the salesman is weak, I'm by him very, very quickly. And 9 out of 10 times I'm with the sales manager, and I want to get it my way or no way. But it's kind of weird to turn it around. The way I sell is I don't want the person to think they're being sold. I want them to think it's their decision. I'm just counseling them until they make the decision on their own. So two opposite ends of the spectrums.
Absolutely, and I've sold cars before too, man. Many moons ago, and I love all the little psychological tricks that a good car salesman will use. They're great, man. That's actually the first job that taught me about psychology and selling was selling cars. So there's definitely some good stuff and some bad stuff in there. Sometimes we run into good salespeople, sometimes we run into bad salespeople.
Yeah. The last dealership that I worked at, the general manager, he'd chase the people while they're driving out of the road, out of the parking lot. He'd chase them. I was like, "What are you doing? That's not how you get a customer." So that's the last dealership I actually quit so fast when I saw him running down the road trying to stop them.
Man, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I have a nice mental image of this guy running after the car. I can see it happen.
In his suit, nice suit.
Right.
And he was a bull to work for too. Same attitude towards his salespeople. And didn't inspire at all. He liked fear to inspire. That's not how you motivate salespeople at all.
Absolutely.
Hey, you see, we got my first sale came in. That check I cut yesterday. Did you see that? Did you talk with Tom? That undeliverable one that really all they did was change their mailing address. The other agency let it go and said it's uncollectible. Did you? And the check was mailed yesterday to us.
Which one?
BSP Transportation, that big trucking company out of New Hampshire.
Okay.
Remember, their agency gave it back to them saying uncollectible, and the agency just had the wrong phone number. I mean, the wrong address, the wrong billing address.
Yeah, we're going to have to send a letter to that agency and explain to them how to use Google.
Nah, let them keep stumbling, right? Because I talked to her today, and she says right when she does her agent report, it's all coming to us. So,
good.
Yeah.
So Tom's got some money working on that for you. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Money moving.
Yep.
That's what I like to hear. That makes me happy. I'm going to do the money things.
Well, it wasn't big, not yet. It's not too big yet. A little over $500, but we earned their business. You know what I mean? That's all that matters.
Good deal.
We made them a client, so they're not a customer; they're a client now. So.
Good deal. Hank, what's happening with you, brother?
I'm doing good. I was just on the phone. Somebody there was kind of long-winded. I'm doing good. Doing good.
All right. Tell me about the last experience you had with a salesperson.
I was just thinking, like yesterday or this weekend, I get calls sometimes from the TV company. They try to call you and want you to add stuff on, and the person calls and they just talk. They don't ask you any questions. They don't engage you at all. They're just trying to say something and just want you to sign up without even seeing what your needs are. And I just shut them down immediately. It's just kind of interesting their approach. I mean, they wouldn't even, I guess they're just going off a script or something, and I guess I can't imagine they get a lot of sales that way. But they try to say, we'll give it to you free for 3 months, but then start charging you. But I don't want to do that. And in 3 months, if I don't want what you're selling me, I'm going to have to take time to go and remember to cancel it. If I don't, I'm going to get charged, and I don't know. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. The canned talk off is almost never effective. And of course, if you run over somebody with your words enough times, somebody's going to buy something from you. But that method of selling, I've never seen anyone be really successful with it. Even way back in the day, I had I didn't have it, it wasn't my company, but I was a sales manager at a telemarketing company, and they were doing, one of the departments did long distance, one of the departments did bad credit cards, and one of the departments did police fundraisers. And when I became a sales manager, I did two things. I added some questions into the pitch into the different pitches for the different departments, and instead of sitting on my behind at the desk all day, I got up and walked around and helped people close deals, which, putting questions into a pitch, for one, it's engaging. Like you were just saying, they didn't engage me at all. Well, of course not. They have a sheet that's got a pitch on it, and they say what's on the paper, and then they don't know what to say anymore. once they're done reading you their piece of paper. And that doesn't work. So the last time you dealt with a salesperson to make a larger purchase, let's take an example for something that you wanted to buy and you made first contact to the salesperson. What was your experience like with that? What did they do? And if they didn't earn your business, could they have done something different? And even if they did earn your business, what did they do right?
Well, vehicle would be the last time I purchased a car. It's been a little while, but I was referred into. I was looking for a particular vehicle, a Honda vehicle, so I was referred through a friend of mine to a person, and had an idea what the deals could be. But I went in and talked to him, and he wouldn't negotiate at all. I was ready to buy a car, ready to do something, but he was just kind of one of the top people, and he thought he could just get his price because he was who he was, and I ended up no thank you, and ended up got a much better deal somewhere else with somebody I didn't know, but knew found out where I could get a better deal. So it's just it was interesting that I would think you get a lot of people coming into car dealerships that are just kicking the tires, but I was ready to buy, and he wasn't he wasn't wanting to negotiate. He had a set price, and shame on him for losing that sale. Maybe he got enough business that he didn't want to do that. And that's maybe the way he operates. It was very interesting.
I had something similar happen. This must have been 8 or 10 years ago, and the car salesman would not negotiate. And I told him, I said, you know what, man, I changed my mind. I'm going to buy a truck. Because he was trying to do everything but negotiate to sell me the car. He's like, well, this is what you want. This is what the packages are. And I told him, I said, I put back on him what they do when they're negotiating price. I wrote down what I wanted to pay on a piece of paper, and I slid it across the desk to him. I said, well, this is what I'm looking at. If we can hit this number, we can sign the papers right now. And what was really funny about that is the other, I had two totally opposite vehicles in mind at the time, and I went across the highway and bought from another dealer. And after I bought the SUV, I went back over there and I said, I told you, all you had to do was negotiate. Hopefully he learned something from that.
Great.
Trina, tell me about the last salesperson you had to deal with.
Yes, the last person I dealt with had tried to sell me liability insurance, but the liability insurance was not to protect the party if I was liable. The liability insurance was to, in his words, was to protect that person against me. Like if I were to fall in someone's home or business, that would cover my needs. And I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute, liability insurance is when I'm liable, not, that doesn't help me if I injure myself. That would, that's when I'm liable for something, not the other way around. So I was like, that person, I don't know what they're trying to do, but I wasn't stupid. I said, I'm not buying that. I mean, liability insurance, not to protect the other person, but to protect me. I was like, well, liability insurance, it doesn't work that way.
So what did the salesperson do wrong besides have, it sounds like something that's pretty much a scam, but what could the salesperson have done to sell you besides have a real product?
I don't know, maybe a total moron. I don't know. I don't think that was, I don't think there's nothing he could do except for count someone being stupid.
Okay. Tell me about somebody that you called first to buy something and what that person did to try to close the deal.
Well, I recently called because I am searching for a new mattress set, so I did call someone, and I wasn't there physically, but he was like, he wanted me to come in at a specific time, and I was, he wanted to set an appointment, so I was like, well, are you on commission? He was like, of course I'm on commission. So, they're, salespeople like that, they really want to make sure that they're the ones that get the sale. So he made sure that I knew his, had gist of his schedule, like he's in on the weekends, or, if I were to come in or call, see if he's in. And he gave me his name and everything to make sure that he wouldn't miss that sale if I decided to come in the door. So that was something that he did to make sure that he would get that commission should I decide to do business with that company.
Good deal. And do you know why he wanted you to come in at a specific time? Do you know why he wanted you to set an appointment to do that?
Because that's when he would be there and he could guarantee that he would get the sale.
No. He wanted well, that's one reason. That is one reason. But the main reason to make someone actually set an appointment instead of, hey, why don't you just come by the store? when you set an appointment, you're much more likely to keep an appointment than just show up at the store on your leisure.
Oh, okay.
So setting an appointment is a way to get you to make a commitment to come in rather than just at your leisure.
Uh-huh. And you figure I'm most likely to buy also because I set that appointment.
Right. So that there is something to be taken away from that.
Okay.
He used psychology to get you to make a commitment.
Yes. Well, I didn't make the commitment, but I said I would. But he did let me know what days that he would be in, and to check to see if he's there to see if he's there before coming in, so he can get that sale.
Good deal.
Hey, Andy was controlling the sales cycle.
Uh-huh.
That's true too. Absolutely. There's some good stuff inside of there. It seems like just somebody trying to sell a mattress, but there's actually something going on there that's actually planned out. That's good stuff. Edward, you there, buddy?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
What you baking over there, man?
I was in an Italian cuisine class.
Okay, Italian cuisine class. What did they teach you how to cook?
I believe we were cooking ice cream that night. It was a homemade 10-minute chocolate Fredo, or I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was a gelato.
Gelato, okay.
Yeah, and it was made out of a heavy cream. There's no crushed ice, with melted chocolate and some coffee, and it was really good. I mean, it tastes like Haagen-Dazs. It takes about 30 minutes to freeze, and you just freeze it. You just put it in a little container and freeze it.
All right, good deal. So when you froze it, did you put it in a container with ice and rock salt around it, kind of like ice cream?
She just stuck it in a walk-in.
Oh, okay. I've never made ice cream like that. Well, gelato and ice cream are similar but different.
Yeah.
So how did you get hooked up at that class, man? Did they call you and sell you to get into the class, or did?
No, it's just I found it on my it's a community college. When I was looking for other classes, it just ran across. I thought Italian cuisine class, and I took it. So it's a non-credit class, but it was only a one. So it was a one-day deal. You learned how to cook like a 7-course meal I took it a whole bunch of times so I got a whole bunch of recipes. $75 a class, 4-hour class.
Wow. So tell me about the last time somebody tried to sell you something.
That was Grant Cardone's sales manager. I was looking into his university to get sales training. I'd watched his videos. You had suggested his videos to me, I believe. And I watched his videos, and so then I added him on Google Plus, and then I went to Google Plus and went over, and eventually, like over the weekend, this weekend, he had something on there that was about closing the sale, and how guys are really good salesmen and sell. It doesn't matter. They'll say the sale go on for 2 years, and they never close the sale. And the reason why is they don't even ask. And he said that's just what it is. They just don't ask. And I thought, that really was helping me think about it. I was like, that's kind kind of what my problem is right now. Is I've got these deals. I've been working on these guys. They're giving me the runaround. I'm not at my desk. I don't have the invoices in front of me. Then I call, call me next week. Next week it's out of the office at lunch. All that,
Get a commitment. Get a commitment, like I told you. And what I would recommend to you before going into Cardone's online training, learn the stuff, master what we have in our training before you look for outside training, because everything that we teach in our manual and everything that I've gone over in the Hangouts goes from remedial sales all the way into master class salesmanship. So you have what you need. It's just a matter of thoroughly learning it and putting it into action. And don't get me wrong, Grant's program is probably fantastic, and I watch his stuff. As a matter of fact, I watched the video you were just talking about. I probably
his university. It's only I think it's like $2,000 if I recall what he's saying, and that's for the whole year, and you can just go to class 20 minutes a day, which is really good.
Well, send me $2 grand, and I'll spend 20 minutes with you a day.
But yeah, and then he said that you can get Grant as a coach and call him anytime, and speak to him every day or in the weekends or whatever, however you want to do it. I thought, well, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He does have a good setup there. So $2 grand for Cardone University, man.
Yeah.
He's got
have him speak.
The right idea, man. He definitely has the right idea.
Thanks. To have him speak is $25,000 for one event. I think for I don't know how long. I don't know how long he'll actually speak to. It's $25,000, and then it said plus you may have to pay for a hotel and airfare.
Well, I read your email this morning about you telling his sales guy to call me.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell them our services. If this guy does actually pick up the phone and call me, which he hasn't yet this morning, I know if I was a salesman and I had a referral, I would pick up the phone and call. But if this guy does call me, I'm going to tell him to put Grant on the phone, okay?
Okay.
So what did this sales guy do right, and what did he do wrong when he was trying to sell you the Cardone University?
He is really strong. That and he was. I think he started to come on too strong, first for a little bit, but he's really strong on selling me, on telling me that I'm gonna succeed if I do this. These sales. He was telling me what his pitch was he's like, hey, you don't want to have Grant come speak at your at your event, because I was talking to him too. I started talking to him about, because I want to do a sales event, and I thought, I just asked him, because I didn't know if Grant how much it costs to do an event, because I have these luxury floor things, and I thought, if I could do an event on those, then that would be that'd be great. And he said no. He goes, you don't want Grant Cardone to sell your floors for you. He said Grant Cardone doesn't sell anything. He just teaches you to sell. He said, so why would you want Grant to know how to sell? And then he just kept, he started coming on really good. Told me what Grant will do is teach you to be the best salesman to sell your floors yourself. He said, why would you want Grant to do it when you could do it, be the best at it yourself?
I have a question for you, man. What are you trying to learn how to do? I mean, you're
how to be a better salesman.
Okay.
So he came on really strong, but he just didn't. That was really good that he was pitching that he can teach me. Then he took me. What he did is he took me over to the university at that point. He said, "Here, I'm gonna have you go to university, And then we started talking about the university stuff. And when I got to the money, so I was telling him, I said, look, I work in debt recovery, and he went really good, and he was asking a lot of questions, but when I got to answering the questions, he exhausted me on that because there was no way I could pay $2,000. I said, look, I just paid tuition. I'm just in transition. I just left school, and he said, and I was like, I'm out of money right now until I get paid on my job. I said, it took me a while to learn how to do the job. I'm just now getting to where I can engage in conversations with people, this and that. And he's telling me, he said, yeah, and people really aren't getting quote. I don't know. No, I don't know exactly how he went into it. It's been I've been so busy, and but he just exhausted it. And then I was telling him I'm out of money, and he's like, well, you're not losing out on a certain amount of money or whatever. He had a lot of comebacks, but it was starting to get to where I was like, look, dude, I can't. I don't know how to tell you. I was just looking in for information, and then the good thing he did was he said, look, I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm not going to ask you for money. Give me your employer's name. Give me the business number, and we can get Grant. Grant's going to get your sales up 3 times, and he's going to get the whole company's up 3 times. And then he started, and that was good because he's actually selling me on that value. And I told him, I said, look, well, there's a lot of training already at the company I'm at. We have hangouts every week, and I can call my president of sales every day. And he's like, well, that's good. But wouldn't they like it if we could increase their sales 3 times?
So what can you learn from this guy?
What
can you learn from your conversation with him?
That the sale is never over until someone hangs up or says yes.
Okay.
And that there's always an answer. There's always something, some way you can have value to that customer you're talking to. Because I was shooting him down. I shut him down quite a few times, and then he came up with a solution and a way he could benefit me and then also benefit you and everybody else. So.
Yeah, and just so you know, typically when a salesman calls me and tries to sell me something, he gets his ass handed to him. So I'm going to have a field day with your sales guy when he does decide to pick up the phone and call me.
Okay.
Anyway, what you want to do is look at that experience and see some of the methods this sales guy used. Now, you said he came on really strong. He was very aggressive.
Yeah.
He probably had a similar selling style to what I have, but you want to also look at what was he actually telling you he could provide as a value. More experience in sales? No, he can't provide you more experience in sales, but experience is a way to learn more. So if you want to take more time that you may have spent at Cordone University, and put it into getting practice selling our services the way we sell them, it will be more beneficial to you than any other outside coach can give you, because you've got coaches right here. You've got Rick to coach you, and you have me on these hangouts, and sometimes we talk one-on-one too. But when we do talk, take what I give you and put it into action. And once you get, and don't just do it 1 or 2 times, keep putting it into action. And as you do that, it's going to make you stronger as a salesperson. It's going to make you more confident as a salesperson, and it's going to increase your sales ability and the sellability of the product or the services that you're selling. And I know you do some sales with some type of flooring products also. This can help you in that as well. What you're doing is honing your skills in talking to people, and the best way to do that is by picking up the phone and doing it over and over and over. That's the only way to really hone and to embrace that salesmanship. This university thing, they can give you all the tools in the world, but the bottom line is taking action is what's going to give it to you. You can look anywhere you want for help, but you've got help right in front of you, and we can give you the same thing that they're going to give you. We can give you every bit of salesmanship, every bit of training, and it's not going to cost you $2,000. I mean, unless you want that 20 minutes a day from me. Send me $2,000, I'll give you 20 minutes a day. I'm kidding, of course. Let's see. Joan, can you hear me? Joan, your microphone's on mute. You might have to unmute to talk if you can hear me. I see you. I see you down there. All right. Maybe Joan's just listening. All right. So let's move.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh my goodness! There she is. So tell me about the last experience you had with a salesperson trying to sell you something.
Actually, I've had some very good salespeople, and I've had some very bad ones. I think the bad ones were the ones that it was all about them and nothing about me. And I actually told the gentleman, because I was asking questions, and he just was answering them, but he was pushing me to go ahead and close the sale. And I said, and I was trying to get some numbers from him, and finally I said, you know, this is about me, not about you. You want my money, you need to answer my questions. And by the way, and actually he actually said, he said, if we could have closed this up like 5 minutes ago, and that really did it for me. I said, I don't want to buy anything from you. In fact, I can tell you right now why I even called your company. I said 2 years ago, okay, I'm slow. 2 years ago, there was Gene, I won't call him the last name, called me. This is for security system. And I said I was really busy. I was just slammed with work. I just didn't have the time, but I wanted one. So I told him, I said, call me on a regular basis, shoot me an email once a month and remind me, and I will buy one. And the reason I decided to buy it from him was because when he did call me a couple of times, he didn't call once, he called twice. And he happened to catch me in my car, so I had time. And we chatted a little bit, and I liked him. He listened to me. He asked me questions, and I commented on him, and I told him, I said, you know, I want to share a couple little things. I'm one of the top salespeople for what I do. And so anyway, I shared with him my little secrets, and he started incorporating that. So when I called back 2 years later, okay, Gene had actually been promoted to sales manager. And I thought, well, I know why, because he is so good. He's so good. He follows up, he listens to people, and he's not pushy. So getting back to the gentleman that was I was dealing with, I told him, I said, I do not and will not buy this from you. I tell you what, you've been rude to me. You don't want to answer my questions. I'm really feeling pressure, and you know what? I need these answers. So I'm going to hang up. I'm going to call Gene tomorrow, and I'm going to buy from him simply because I started with him. And I explained to him why, after 2 years, I'm now buying from this man. So I wrote a letter to Gene's boss explaining why I stayed with Gene, and that I thought he needed to teach these guys how to train these guys how to sell. Long story short, that was the deal. And it's because he listened to me, he respected me, and it was all about me. And that's why I buy. If somebody does that to me or they're interested, I will always contact their manager. If they're really lousy, I will always contact their manager as well. Hopefully they could teach that person how to sell, because they're not being beneficial for the company. But yeah, I think it's very important to, when they respect my time, when they respect my questions, and they set themselves apart from everybody else who calls me and doesn't treat me that way.
That's an absolutely excellent point. And this is something we can all learn from. If we're talking to our clients or prospective clients, we want to make them feel like only their interest is what matters. And that's an important selling tool. Very important. So if you're talking to somebody and they're not properly engaging you, you're not buying from them, right?
No, because if they're calling me, it's about me. If they want my money, it's about me. Even if I go into a store, I expect to be educated on what it is that they're offering, unless I've gone in and know what exactly I want, and I just don't have the time. It's like, just wrap it up, got to go. But if I go in, I want to ask questions. I want to get education. That's very important to me. And I want them to be interested in me. Most people aren't. They just, it's, they're cashier. They just like, give me your money, next, give me your money, next. They're not a salesperson.
Right. They're an order taker. There's a difference. There's a huge difference in a salesperson and an order taker. So what can we learn from this guy's fails, and what can we learn from the other guy's successes? in your opinion, Joan? What?
Well, I think it's extremely important to find out and ask questions as to, number one, who you're talking to, what their situation is, what are their problem areas, what are their concerns. If you don't have that information, you don't know if you even have the right fit with this customer. You may be selling them something they don't even need. So you have to find out who your customer is and what their needs are. But I'd also like to say, Michael, that when I came in, you didn't have any of these circles. So I really appreciate it very, very much. It's been a very positive touch. A lot of golden nuggets, which is what you and I went over the very first time we met. Give me the golden nuggets, because there's always golden nuggets. There's at least possibly 5 golden nuggets that every call I make needs or wants or has a problem with. With this particular industry, my concerns is this, which I wish I had known from the get-go. There's 10 people a day, and it's taken me a while to figure all this out after maybe call after call, and I've had to learn it from the people I'm calling. And it's the feedback that I'm getting. 10 people a day, 10 people a week, whatever, are calling these people. I'm just another one. So I have got to differentiate myself from all the other 10 people. How do I do that within seconds? Because if I don't do it within seconds, click, or they're busy, they lost interest because they've heard whatever it is they think I'm going to tell them from everybody else. In their mind, we all do the same thing.
Well, yeah.
And really, I think that's kind of what it is for me, because their car tires are not flat; they're rolling. Nothing's broken. It ain't, so it doesn't need to be fixed. So if it doesn't need to be fixed, they don't need to fix it in their mind. So I've got to immediately find out what it is their problem areas are. And you know what? And when they tell me that they've got 2 people already, or they've got X amount of invoices that are past due, it tells me right there, that number one, they don't trust the first third-party collector, so they got a second one to back up. Okay, and then the in-house is very afraid of turning them over to a third-party debt collector at maybe 90 or 120 days because they're afraid to lose business. So I have to engage them in that conversation, and it depends on the person I'm talking with. So because I will also like to encourage them about our prevention program, which will actually keep the pipeline flowing for everyone, and which I find is really important. And that is turning people over early at 60 days. You're actually doing your client a favor by doing that, because you know what? If they're not paying you, they're probably not paying anybody else. So what do you think is going to happen if they don't do something about restructuring their finances? They may close their doors. So, help them out. Throw into a third party, because that'll definitely get their attention. And I've even shared the fact that that some of the people we've collected from have actually hired us to clear up their accounts.
Yeah, this is absolutely true, and that's an important point also. I like what you're doing with that, Joe.
Well, I don't think anybody else is telling them this. And also, I know that there's a problem that a lot of our prospects, they're not getting their information in time. They're not getting they're not getting their answers as to, well, why didn't you collect this? And I tell them about our 24/7. I said it's up to the minute of what we've done on research. They like that. I think it's also important, and some things I realize I actually share with them too. Like we've collected things that just recently we had a prospect who became a client. They'd been holding on something for 2 years. We collected it really within less than a week. She was shocked. She was totally shocked, and now every time she gets something, she's going to turn it over. But now I call my people the first of every month, my clients, and I talk to them about what they have 60 days. What do you have 60 days? And I go through the prevention program, because how important it is not only for them, but you're throwing a life raft out to your client. If there are issues over there, they're not going to tell you. Their accounts receivables are backed up. Somebody's making some bad management problems with money. Something's happening over there. They're not going to tell you. Number one, we're going to find out what's happening over there, and it's going to again hopefully wake somebody up over there to restructure their finances so that they continue having their doors open. And I tell them a lot of times we've gone and collected and only found out that they're so backed up in their accounts receivable that's why they're not paying you. So we want to unclog these pipes. We want to keep them flowing, the cash flowing. So if you turn them over, you're doing them a favor. We have to change the perspective, because they're seeing this as a negative rather than a positive. So I want to put a spin on that, because it really is a positive.
It absolutely is. Cash flow can be seen as nothing but positive, because there are so many things that a company can do with increased cash flow. Advertising to get new customers, research and development to provide more products to their existing customers, updated equipment. There are so many things a company can do with increased cash flow, and it's important. It's also important that they don't waste their valuable resources beating a dead horse also. So absolutely wonderful points, Joan. We're running into the hour mark here, so let's see if anybody has anything else, any questions, comments, anything that anyone wants to say about whatever we've talked about here, or if anybody has any comments about anything anybody else has said. Let's get them out there and move this thing to closure, so I can go eat me some jumbo shrimp or something.
Well, I so appreciated what you had to say, Joan. I thought that you pointed out some really, really good tips, including, I like the way you put it, the prevention program. It's funny that that phrase hadn't come into my mind yet, and so that's such a simple way to put it that really helps us to stand out. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that is definitely good stuff.
I googled Grant Cardone, and he has a YouTube channel on YouTube. Well, of course, on YouTube. So he has a YouTube channel if you want to check that out.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's where Edward found him.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually one of the guys I watch when I'm working out in the morning.
Well, it's good to get inspiration in the morning, yes. Also, I wanted to tell you, Mike, you said about bad sales people, and just before Joan had mentioned the security guy, I was thinking about many moons ago where I make myself sound like I'm 100 years old. But anyway, you know, I was young. I had the house to myself except for our two dogs, the family dogs, and this security guy called, and he was like, I'm going to. He was trying to sell me a security system. And I was like, well, you know, I can't afford that. I don't have any money right now. And I was like, besides, I have the dogs. He said, if someone could shoot your dogs. You know, so that just made me scared and upset. It was like, well, you know, that person sucked. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, or if he wanted to be silent about it, he could poison your dogs.
Well, yeah. Well, that's just as bad, you know, poison or, you know, if the dogs are inside, you don't have time to poison anything, you know.
Yeah, take some ground meat, put some arsenic in it, man. Here you go, catch.
Yeah, throw it at the dog, but I'm sure it'll take a minute to work or whatever. I mean, the animal will still go at you. I don't know. I think if you're inside his home, it's not going to be that distracted by you throwing ground beef at it. I hope not.
I don't know. I think my dog, if it had a choice between barking at somebody or eating, it would choose eating.
What type of dog do you have?
An ankle biter.
Oh, Chihuahua.
I hate that thing. I don't hate it. You know, I like the dog, but I'm not really a dog person. But I took it in when my grandfather died, and you know.
Yes. So you're not totally bad person.
You know, the only thing I don't like about the dog is she's too needy.
Yes. Well, they say getting an animal company helps some. I'm not gonna say it helps all the way because I have needy animals too. But if you get a second dog, they'll probably, you know, pay more attention to them than you.
Yeah, a second dog is not in the cards.
Okay.
Sorry about her luck.
Maybe a cat.
Oh, I do have a cat.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the cat does not like the dog.
Oh, yeah.
They're not friends at all.
Yeah.
I mean, and the dog tries. The dog tries. She gets her butt whipped every time she tries.
Oh, poor thing. Yes, well, that was another example of sucky salesperson. You know, it's like, well, I don't think anyone's gonna want to buy from you after you threaten their animals. Oh, man.
You know, that's probably one of his rebuttals. They can shoot the dog. Well, yeah, they can poison the dog too.
Yeah, either way, no one's gonna buy.
And the only reason I said that is because it puts out a more hateful and deceptive mental picture, you know. But anyway, do we have anything else before we close today?
I was gonna say maybe that guy was a door-to-door salesman and got bit by a lot of dogs. Man, I don't know.
That could be.
That could be. Might be. And do we have anything else? Questions, comments, concerns about sales or well, about sales? Let's keep it at sales. All right. Well, then I guess we're done here, and we will be doing this again at 11 a.m. Friday, and of course every Tuesday and Friday I will absolutely be here on the air, and we'll discuss whatever we needed to be discussed. Friday will be an open forum. Maybe we'll do some pitching or do something back and forth. And I'll see everybody then, and probably talk to some of you a lot sooner than that.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, y'all take it easy.